Introducing 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions, a unique weight loss clinic backed by real medical research with a treatment focusing on the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. From medical services for obesity and high blood pressure to behavioral services for emotional eating and depression, 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions can help you change your relationship with food, your relationship with yourself, and with life. Find out more, 425-606-0022. Or online at 3.health. That's 3.health.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Time is funny. Sometimes it seems fast, and other times slow. When it comes to time slots remaining on Alternative Talk 1150, time is running out. In fact, there are just a few primetime slots available. So if you want to host your own radio program, the time to call 425-653-1150 is right now. Nope, no time for excuses. Dial 425-653-1150 to find out how affordable it can be to host a radio show. Alternative Talk, we have an opportunity waiting just for you.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions. Before the break, we were discussing a medical weight loss program, which is what we are here at 3 Health, and as opposed to maybe a commercial weight loss program and how we're differentiated from that, and even how we are different than a surgical weight loss program. And we'd also mentioned the mind-body difference, and sometimes how a patient will lose a tremendous amount of weight and be very successful with weight loss, and how the mind often follows that or lags behind the weight loss. And I was at the break sharing with Brandy and Marlene a patient that I had that was a post-surgical patient who was very successful with her weight loss. In fact, she'd lost over 150 pounds within 2 years post-operatively, and her BMI was quite low, and she became a runner and was doing really well. And I was fascinated as we had sessions post-operatively, the words that she continued to use in describing herself were really
describing
derogatory.
Her physically?
Yeah, she used words. She would describe herself as fat, mm-hmm. and she was a lot of shameful words and disgusted words about herself.
Yeah.
And everybody else would look at her and compliment, and we thought she was doing great.
And some people don't really, even if they've lost that much weight and their mind isn't ready, when people comment on their body, it's actually very negative for them.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And what I found fascinating was she even told me months later that she still hadn't looked in a full body mirror at herself. And Marlene, I know I had mentioned before the break that you do mirror work with some of your patients.
I do. For many patients, they haven't looked in a mirror for years, other than maybe to compartmentalize and look at their hair or their makeup.
Their shoes.
And they'll tell me about that they, there's just too much shame or frustration involved, and so they stopped looking in a mirror. They also, coincidentally, stopped seeing themselves, and that allows that negative self-talk.
And what does that do to the spirit?
And the spirit gets just shot, basically. So it can be very painful initially, but it's worth it when the outcome. I'll have clients look in the mirror and I'll tell them, I want you to say 3 kind things to yourself. A lot of times our patients, to back up just a little bit, they're very successful in a lot of areas of their life. Mm-hmm. And when I ask them to say something kind about themselves, they often look in the mirror and say, I can't think of anything, which tells you where we need to begin. And many times there are tears involved. Sometimes the tears are in recognition that how poorly they've treated themselves. And sometimes they've just never had that message to speak positively of themselves. So I don't let them away from the mirror until they say 3 positive things. I sometimes will model that for them and say 3 positive things about myself so that they don't, a lot of times women will feel that they're being conceited if they say anything positive.
And you've addressed that a lot in your blog. Which
Yeah,
is very good. Thank you.
We really need to be kind to ourselves. And so that gives them a start. They realize, that if they can say 3 kind things, that, they're not the horrible people they've been thinking they are. And then I assign them to do it at home as well. I call it my 3x3. They have to look 3 times a day and say 3 things to themselves, and it breaks through that. And a lot of times they tell me they feel silly in the beginning, but eventually they really get to a place where they see their value. And of course, if you see your value, you take better care of yourself.
Right.
So it's kind of, I encourage all people to do it. It won't hurt you. Look in the mirror.
It might be uncomfortable. And
and it doesn't
weird.
all have to be about appearance. We are more than our appearance, and that's sometimes another thing that clients have lost sight of.
Hence the spirit.
The spirit,
right?
Again, yeah. And then with that, with the repetitiveness and the consistency of challenging negative thoughts and replacing them with more positive messages, that changes the mind. The brain starts rewiring itself.
Right.
I wrote in a blog how I could look in a mirror and in seconds pick out every flaw, perceived or real. And it took me a while to be able to, I did this exercise myself many years ago, and it took me a while to come up with some things to say. Once I did, I also then negated it. Like, you have great hair, but it needs to be cut. So if you hear yourself say but, you need to start all over again. But it rewires the brain to start looking at yourself differently.
And this isn't always unique to weight and weight gain or weight loss. People with illnesses will have these same things, and people who've been abused will have the same body and mind disconnect. So it's not just with weight gain or weight loss, but we certainly do see this a lot in our
like
practice.
I say, I think it's a good exercise for every human to do, to see your positives. And everybody has them. When your friends can say kind things to you, a lot of times too, I tell people to pay attention to their reaction to that. Are they negating compliments? Also, what we deal with a lot here is assertiveness, so that it can feel very uncomfortable if people are commenting on your weight as you lose it.
I mean, from personally my experiences when I was 30 pounds heavier, I would get comments about, you could be more fit, and why don't you exercise more? And then when I lost 30 pounds, it was, now you need to eat a cheeseburger. Like, I couldn't make anybody happy.
So maybe we should touch on that real quickly. We were talking about that at the break, about just about talk in general regarding bodies, because often when we have a friend or anyone who we see gaining weight, most of us have a filter, or hopefully we have a filter where
Grandparents
we don't.
don't.
Well, or some mothers maybe, or parents. You're right, but
siblings are a little rough too.
But where if we do have a filter, we may not say something directly to them, or we might. You're right, but. We often will talk to someone who is losing weight. I had a patient who was an owner and a partner in a very successful large accounting firm in the city, and she was in our program, and she did very well with her weight loss. And she felt like she was, every time she went to quote the water cooler, she was the constant subject of water cooler conversation for a number of months, everybody continually complimenting her or discussing her weight loss. And at one point she said, let's get back to work. I was a damn good accountant when I was heavier, and I'm a damn good accountant now, and let's get to work, folks, and quit talking about my body. And so that also maybe speaks to the appropriateness of body conversation, heavier or not heavier.
And people go, what's wrong with her? What's her problem? I'm just trying to give her
that
a
wasn't the
compliment.
first time I've heard it. I've heard that a number of
hear
times
that
from
a
professionals who, I don't want my weight gain or weight loss to be the topic of conversation in the workplace.
And we address that in the behavioral side of 3 Health, of how to navigate the changes you're going to see. There can be real anger when somebody, on so many different levels, but if you were molested as a child and weight is your protection, or you were traumatized or injured as a kid, to have people looking at your body is going to be very uncomfortable. So how do you handle that?
And how do you handle the attention when maybe you're not traumatized, but you're like, why didn't you notice me before I lost weight?
Yeah.
Now you're interested in me?
There are a lot of things that come up, and I think that's the important part of our individualized programs, is that we get to hear the patient's story to see what's causing this discomfort, whether it's, I don't like people looking at me. That was, what happened to me as a child, and I didn't like it. How do I deal with it? Or it can be that somebody need to lose 15 pounds, and all of a sudden, people are coming out of the woodwork to be your best friend. Like, where were you 3 weeks ago?
Right.
Yeah. But we get to hear their individualized story and then develop strategies around that so that there isn't any self-sabotage or other sabotage with it.
Right, and that really is the core of why we are doing this, because I'd worked in several clinics helping people lose weight before, and we were successful, but seeing people hit that emotional or mental barrier and then gain weight back was so disturbing. It was so hard for me to, help them with that, because I'm not a licensed psychotherapist, and I didn't really know what to do. I just knew it was a problem. So I'm so happy that we are dealing with these issues.
I think one of the things that's such a great thing for 3 Health is that we've all had our weight issues, and we come to this with such compassion. It really is an important thing to me that our clients learn to be empowered over their own lives.
And we respect them, and we have reverence for their story.
Yeah, it isn't just let's get them into surgery and make money.
One of the things, Marlene, that I've done in the past, depending on personality style with a patient as a strategy, is we've even done some scripting. I remember a patient that was particularly shy in the workplace, and I worked on some language and some specific scripting as to how to handle comments about her weight loss that she was uncomfortable with, and we practiced that in the office, and that worked for her. So.
Yeah, there are a lot of strategies to deal with it, but we need to hear their individual stories to see what's going to work.
Right. That's why it's not one size fits all, and it's not just eat less, exercise more.
Well, none of those things work either.
So we're going to take a break. We've been discussing the mind-body connection, or maybe even we might call it the mind-body disconnect, what happens when you have significant weight loss in your life, and how often the mind will lag behind the body in this journey. And we'll pick up this conversation when we return. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
With decades of experience helping patients change their lives, 3 Health Weight Loss Solutions can help you too. At 3 Health, we provide proven and science-based solutions for realistic, achievable, and sustainable results. We're unique, just like you, and the relationships you have with food and yourself. Find out how we treat obesity, depression, high cholesterol, and more. Just give us a call and change your life today. 425-606-0022. Or visit us online at 3.health. That's THREE.health. Alternative Talk 1150. We're on your radio at 1150 a.m. We're on your HD radio at 98.9 Channel 3.
So many ways to listen.
We're on the web at 1150kknw.com, streaming live audio and video as well as MP3 archives of many of our shows.
So many ways to listen.
And now, we're on your smartphone or tablet. Download our free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play and take Alternative Talk 1150 anywhere you go.
So many ways to listen. Finding and achieving your ideal weight is difficult. Diet and exercise choices are overwhelming. Sometimes it's just easier to quit before even starting. Bradley Butterfield, Marlene Sexton, and Brandy Wiltermuth, with a total 30 years treating body weight issues, host a show to tackle myths and promote success. Tune in for Weight Loss Conversations, brought to you by 3Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions, Mondays at 8 a.m. That's Mondays at 8 a.m.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Going our own way every day. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions. And before the break, in our first segment, we were discussing 3Health and kind of explaining to you all where we came up with the name 3Health and what a medical weight loss program is versus a commercial weight loss program or even how we're different than a surgical weight loss program. And then in our second segment, we talked about the mind-body connection with many of our patients who lose weight. And in fact, I even think I called it the mind-body disconnect with weight loss. And now in our third segment, Brandy, you had an email from a patient that you wanted to discuss with us. So why don't you take that?
Yeah, so this gets to more of not just what is 3Health, but what do we do?
Okay.
And so I got an email from a woman named Kathy. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but essentially she has lost about 15 to 20 pounds over and over and keeps gaining it back. And she is really frustrated. She doesn't want the extra weight slowing her down. She doesn't like the way she looks. And she knows that she feels so much better about herself when she has a lower weight. And she doesn't have a lot of medical conditions that are occurring because of her weight. So she was wondering if she's an appropriate patient for us.
So sometimes a patient will say, I keep losing the same 15 pounds.
Right. And because she's not, really heavy, she's wondering if we can, if she's an appropriate patient, which she absolutely is. I think that the point is that it's been a lifelong struggle. And even though it's only 15 or 20 pounds, that 15 or 20 pounds has been really harassing her for a long time. She hasn't figured it out. She hasn't gotten to the core of why she's unable to keep the weight off. She's really good at losing it. And this is just such a common story that we hear from so many of our patients. And people can be so successful and get their weight down, but unless they change kind of their lifestyle and the way they look at food, their relationship with food, it's going to be tough to maintain that. So she needs a lot of the strategies that we go over in terms of the behavioral, because for me, her losing weight isn't that big of a challenge, right? I mean, if she has done it before, she can do it again. And I'll look at her diet history and see what she's done that's worked, and we'll pick some elements of what has worked and leave behind the elements that didn't work. but then also kind of look at appetite, satiety, and other triggers that she might not be aware of that are undoing her good weight loss over time.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I would look at what is she telling herself about this when she reaches her goal, what's coming up for her there. I think the point is whether you've got 15 pounds to lose or 150 pounds to lose, that you want to lose it once and for all.
Right.
We're the right place.
We're the once and for all people.
And we're the once and for all people. So I think she'd make a really good candidate.
Yeah. So I would say that she shouldn't lose hope, and she should give us, some time and see how things go. But really, it's going to be more work, I think, than what she's done before.
Yeah, it's when I work with people that don't have a profound amount of weight to lose, often they're really surprised about our food culture and how we just kind of get swept into it.
Yeah, they're not really aware
they're not aware
all
of it.
The pitfalls that are out there against them.
And once they learn that and how it affects their own personal life, people have different lifestyles, and we look at that to see how they're going to manage sustain the weight loss once they've reached their goals.
And we touched on this, Marlene, a little bit last week, I believe, in our conversation, in that we might want to see if she's continually using the word diet and whether she sees that 15 pounds as a start thing and an end thing, and then she's done with it, and then it becomes, as you said, Brandy, she's done this over and over and over, and perceiving it behaviorally as something that's starting and ending and starting and ending, and maybe not incorporating it into true change.
And that's what commercial weight loss programs do. That's their business plan. That's how they work.
Yeah.
Is that you lose the weight, usually rapidly, and then as you gain it back, they want you to remember where you lost it, so you go back to them to lose the same 15 pounds again. And once again, 3 Health doesn't work that way. We want you to come in, learn how to keep it off, and then hopefully we don't want to see you maybe again, otherwise maybe in a social setting and being kind, but we want you to tell friends about it, that it worked, that it's finally over, the dieting.
Another thing that has happened in my career of doing this is that people had come in pretty motivated to lose weight, but then disclose some sort of, tragedy that they're living in or going through at the moment. And it's pretty hard, I think, for anyone to be successful losing weight and focusing on that when they have a big disaster, a big crisis that they're dealing with. Like, for example, I had a woman come in. She was so motivated. She was bright. She was a nurse, and she wanted to lose about 30 pounds, but her mom had just died like a week before. And I looked at her and said, I think that we can help you, but I'm not sure that this is the right time for you to be focusing on this.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is true that if people are doing that and they're motivated and they want to enroll in the program, just not gaining weight can be the goal.
You have to be ready, and we assess for that. Are you ready for this, and setting up the environment so that you can be successful. But there are times when you just need to, other things take precedence over your weight.
Like maybe sleep,
breathe.
That's a big one, isn't it?
Or, if people are going through some major health crisis, or someone in their family is ill or something like that, it's a lot to ask them.
Yeah, it is. And when we're doing an intake and talking with somebody and getting their stories, I have approved people who were had a man whose friend had died, had a heart attack and died, and he was not even as overweight as my client was. And he had just buried one of his friends a few days before, but he was highly motivated to lose his weight now, and he was. I mean, even though he was going through grief, but we assess for that so that the person we know that the person is ready to start making changes.
And there's no one answer, I guess.
Yeah, they're just, again, goes back to that individualized program.
Right.
For each person.
Because we also got an email from a lady who I'm not sure if she was kind of confused about whether we were a medical program or a surgical program. She was she said she's 350 pounds and she is in kind of the state of severe frustration about her weight.
Okay.
She's super exhausted with it. She can't move the way she wants to, but she says that her weight is such a big part of her identity that she's questioning whether a medical program is the right place for her, and or if she should just go right into the surgical.
I think a medical, surgery, getting her story, surgery might be appropriate. It might not be. I would want to get a history, what has happened and what some of her struggles are. Well, and it's never
going to hurt anybody to go through medical weight loss.
Right. Yeah.
If they end up having surgery, then great. That means they're just going to be so much more well prepared and able to take some of those skills with them.
Yeah, and we've seen many clients come through that were wondering about surgery. Even when we were working at the surgery place, I've had clients saying, well, if I practice all this self-care, won't the weight come off anyway? Yeah, it will. It depends, and I don't discourage people from having surgery. Time can be of the essence with some weight issues.
Right.
But yeah, to have somebody working the program for a few years, it would be very helpful.
Well, and we know that people need the support afterward anyway. So
after surgery, they absolutely, before and after.
Right.
So yeah, but there are more challenges with that if she sees weight as her identity. And it most likely, I believe she said she'd struggled all her life.
Yeah.
So we'd want to look and see what the payoff for weight is as well. It could be protecting her. It could be something that, she's just now identified with, and none of us want to give up our identity.
And I think what's similar about these two is that it has been lifelong, right? So the amount of weight isn't really... it is an issue, but it isn't the issue.
It isn't the major
issue.
It's a symptom of the issue.
As I'm listening to you two talk, I think what does make us unique at 3 Health is our experience in these different programs as a medical practice, and working with a lot of surgical patients, but is being truthful with our patients through our experience. So you've framed 2 very different patient profiles here. One with 15 pounds. One that has considerably more weight, but we've got experience with both of those patients, and yet we're going to be truthful with both of these patients. As a medical practice, we're going to steer these patients where they're going to be best served for their health, and we have the experience to do that, which I think makes us unique to do that.
And that's the big difference between commercial weight loss programs and what we do.
It can take a lot to sit and look at a client and be truthful and dispel some of the myths that they've believed, that most of us have believed all our lives about just commercial weight loss, less calories, more exercise.
Yeah.
And we are going to look at that individual patient, and we want to put them in the program that's going to work best for them.
Right.
Okay. So we are going to take a break. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health. And when we come back in our final segment, we're going to continue to talk about the mind-body connection and a medical weight loss program, as opposed to some of the commercial weight loss programs out there, and what makes a medical weight loss program unique from commercial and surgical programs. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Hey, Kevin, thinking about saving for retirement?
Yeah, but how do I start?
It's easy with Avo, a retirement coach. Let's learn the Avo bet. A is for taking action.
Not anxiety?
No, Kevin, you're gonna be fine.
You sing?
Barely. V is for variety.
Change up my strategy. Okay.
O is for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Introducing 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions, a unique weight loss clinic backed by real medical research with a treatment focusing on the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. From medical services for obesity and high blood pressure to behavioral services for emotional eating and depression, 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions Solutions can help you change your relationship with food, your relationship with yourself, and with life. Find out more, 425-606-0022, or online at 3.health. That's 3.health.
Do you make a positive difference in the world? Do you have a talent, philosophy, base of knowledge, product or service that you know could help a lot of people if only you could reach them? Join Alternative Talk 1150's family of broadcasters and start walking down a fruitful path. As host of your very own program, dial 425-653-1150 and find out just how affordable it can be to have a show on 1150 AM. That's 425-653-1150. Alternative Talk, we have an opportunity waiting just for you.
Alternative Talk 1150. It's good for what ails you. This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA.
This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health, Medical Weight Loss Solutions. And in our first 3 segments, we've been talking about our practice, 3 Health, as a medical weight loss practice and how we're different from commercial weight loss programs. And we even talked a little bit how we're different from a surgical weight loss program. And we really feel that being overweight is a medical condition and must be treated with medical solutions. And so Brandy and Marlene, help me out here. Let's continue. I'd like to continue in this last segment talking about medical weight loss solutions and what we are offering our patients that we feel is truly unique.
All right. So if you look at any other medical condition, pick one.
Diabetes.
People know that they should see a specialist for that, or a very well-versed provider that deals with people with diabetes. And there's sort of a understanding that that should happen. And when it comes to weight, the medical community hasn't been as able to take responsibility for helping people with that. And so I just want people to know that weight loss doesn't have to just rest on your shoulders as the patient. Being a medical specialist in weight management means we know how to help you with the problem. We are trained in it, we have experience in it, and it shouldn't just be up to you. Just like if you were diagnosed with diabetes, you wouldn't say, well, I'll just Google everything and figure out how to do it myself. I mean, hope not, right? And just about any other medical condition out there, there's a specialist to treat it. It's just that this specialty isn't that common, and it's newer, and it's probably just more in response to the fact that we have an epidemic, right? It's a disease.
Obesity is a disease.
It is a disease. And so that's one of the things that I want people to take away from our program too, is that it's not just about eating too much and moving too little. There are metabolic pathways that get disrupted. There's hormones that play into it. We're basically being laced with sugar in all of our foods and other chemicals, and people just aren't really aware of that. There's just an acceptance sort of this is all my fault and my problem, and I have to find the solution for it, which is what commercial weight loss programs would like you to believe.
And Brandy, one of the things that I think that is in Marlene that's difficult for us is we're not a quick weight loss program, and we don't think that there's a quick weight loss program that will produce long-term results. And
there are tools, right?
Yeah.
There are tools like surgery, which can produce rapid weight loss, but if you don't learn skills around that tool, it's not going to be a useful tool. And we have a whole box of tools. We just have to figure out which tools work for each person and when to use them and how to use them, and that changes over time.
Yeah.
Which is the tricky part, and kind of the, I think, challenging and fun part for me is to figure out how do we use this tool at this point, and is it relevant later? Medications would be an example of that.
Okay.
So
yeah, and strategies, assertiveness and insightful work stuff is also, tools that we use. And I think that's why our individual program is so important.
Yeah.
It just will never be, you all need to do this.
Right.
X, Y, Z. It doesn't work that way.
And that's another place where we see that become problematic is when people are doing weight loss programs through their employer. When there are, these health fairs or whatever they have, there's a lot of different things that insurance programs will, deduct your premiums if you go through these programs. And they're so watered down and they're so generalized that most people, even if they do adhere to them, are going to either get minimal results or not really be successful. And then they turn around and look back at the person and say, you failed it, and that is because it's the wrong program. It's the wrong information.
Yeah.
So, we want people to understand that we're going to give them the right information for their situation and their body.
In other words, it's not one size fits all.
No.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, if you look at quick weight loss overall, usually that leads to rebound weight. Again, for an example, I can use myself. It took me about 8 years to really maintain a weight after I had lost a significant amount. 8 years is a long time.
But you've maintained it.
I have maintained it, and so.
And that's true in my life also. It's a slower path. What I've seen with a lot of our patients, though, at month 5, 6, 7, after they've maintained a good weight loss, they're very pleased because they'll look at us and say, "This is the first time in my life I've maintained this weight loss."
Yeah,
and
it's
it's staying
positive.
off. Yeah, the first couple months are a little tough.
Yeah.
They don't see the rapid weight loss.
I think a lot of it, too, has to do with diet mentality that most of us have just ingrained in us. And you start seeing a switch in how they look at the big picture about 3 months later. They've lost weight, and they're pleased with that, but they've also gained confidence and empowerment in so many different areas that the number on the scale loses its significance. The first day we see them, they're talking numbers on a scale.
Yeah.
And then as we continue to work with them, their world opens up.
And the biometrics help too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just an emotional
and
thing,
Brandy, also with what you're prescribing for a food plan, and I'm not going to call it a diet, is for the first time in their lives, they're saying, I'm eating differently and I get it now.
And I feel better.
Yeah. They really are eating differently, unlike they have
and it's not
their
difficult.
entire lives.
They don't have to, order things online.
Space food.
Yeah, it's not space food. It's real food. It's easy to find. And knowing more about why you're eating something and how it affects your body is crucial.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute. I'm going to challenge you on that. You said space food as opposed to real food. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
because we don't sell food here. I mean, we don't.
I just think that there's a lot of programs out there that rely on protein products and things like that are very highly processed and not real food, and probably could sit on the shelf or be in the space shuttle for 10 years and still be
And
edible.
I think for sustainability, you have to have food available that you can run to the store and get something.
You have to know where to get it.
And you can go to friends' houses for dinner. You can go to restaurants. You can still live your life on this
and
program.
not feel like you're in total deprivation all of the time.
It's changing the relationship with food.
Yeah, and that not just physically but emotionally as well.
And you know what? The thing that I really hope people take away too is that everyone really deserves to be healthier and to have a happier life. And if weight loss is a way to access that, then people deserve to have adequate, appropriate, medically supervised weight loss.
Again, it goes back to getting the right medical professionals to help people that understand weight issues emotionally and physically and metabolic.
So if people are out there listening and they are curious about getting a hold of us, There's a couple different ways you can do that. You can call us at 425-606-0022. We'd love to hear your emails and questions and comments, even if you don't have anything super specific to ask us. And that email is contactus@3.health, and that's the word 3. You can also visit our website, which is pretty easy. It's www.3.health, again the word 3. And we have a blog that you can find Marlene's story about body image and her journey on our blog, and that is For Fat's Sake. So I think next time we're going to talk about sugar.
In fact, we were talking about that's such a big subject. We were thinking about dividing that over a couple of weeks, weren't we?
I'm sure it's going to take more than 1 week.
Because it has a physical effect and an emotional effect as well.
So, Brandy, were you thinking about breaking it up? Maybe the first week was going to be
more of the physical effect of sugar,
and then
metabolic
Marlene, you
effect.
and I might talk about in the second week emphasizing more of the emotional effect, which
it's
is
a big kind of hot button topic right now.
Even maybe the grief that some of us feel over not having sugar in our lives. There's an emotional loss to that.
Yeah,
and that would be because it's an addiction.
It is, and
we have strategies.
And you can tie that into the first week, the addiction. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Have a good week.
Thanks for listening to Weight Loss Conversations, brought to you by 3Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions. We love hearing from our audience, so be sure to drop us a note. We so appreciate when you tell family and friends about our program. Also, don't forget that our past programs are found at 1150kknw.com. That's 1150kknw.com. Have a wonderful week and tune in next Monday at 8 a.m. That's 8 a.m. Monday. Be sure to visit our website at 3.health. That's THREE.health.
The content and opinions expressed during this program were those of the hosts, guests, and callers. They are not intended in any way to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.
The views expressed on this program are those of the